what did I want to talk about? Chilling. I remember old school chilling on YouTube, and I feel like that's been missing a lot lately, and I've been seeking it out as a watcher. I just want to find channels that chill, and sometimes they're playing games I didn't really care about, but I stumble on them, and I was like, yeah, it's chill. I kind of miss the old YouTube, man. Why have I been restarting Baldur's Gate over and over again? Because I've been trying to find the perfect balance of how to play the game and enjoy it for what I want out of an RPG. A CRPG in particular is something I've been jonesing for probably a year. I'm just recording because I want to talk about stuff casually while I'm working on something that's eventually going to turn into content. I've been struggling with the whole producer versus consumer relationship that YouTube has turned into. I've been stumbling on Minecraft channels of all the goddamn content I'd be stumbling upon, because that's like the oldest content I can remember just being a thing 10 years ago on YouTube, and I was never into Minecraft. I played one Let's Try of Minecraft probably in the first year of the channel, 2016, 2017 maybe, just to give it a shot because it was free. And I've always really liked this hair as well. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the creative elements behind Minecraft. Now, YouTube and Minecraft goes a long way back, right? Like, it goes a long way back. And what I've noticed with this is also one of my favorite hairstyles. What I've also noticed, though, is that the content I'm stumbling on, which is the kind of content I'm talking about, where people are just having a casual conversation while they're playing, or they're talking casually over top of gameplay that they've already pre-recorded. And it's not just a production. And that's what I was talking about. Producer versus consumer. I don't enjoy that dynamic. I don't. Personally, I think that's I was aiming for that as a YouTuber back in 2000, was that in the COVID era, right? I was aiming to take it more seriously and be more, I was already prolific. I was uploading 1 to 3 times a day for 5 years. I got to 3,000 videos uploads before I sort of paused things and tried to contemplate, because that was a 5-year plan. I got to 2021 and I kind of went, okay, well, I've reached my goal in 2016 to do YouTube for 5 years and see how it felt. And I know how it felt. I know how it felt. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. But then after that post thinking is where I started to go, not just for myself, but I was analyzing content on YouTube for how it changed. As a consumer, I was going, how am I consuming content on YouTube? And it felt different. And I didn't know if I enjoyed it. I say that going as a consumer, I didn't know if I enjoyed it. And then that impacted me as a producer, because I was I didn't want to be a producer. That's not why I started YouTube. That's also really nice, was very pretty boy. But in any case, I didn't want that. And I think that I didn't know that I didn't want that. And so then that became a struggle for a year or two on the channel, as I tried to determine what my YouTube persona was going to be. But see, I was still going in the wrong direction, because the YouTube persona was very much the producer versus just being an authentic person sharing their experiences with people who wish to share them. And I can say that so clearly now, because the mission statement is very clear to me since the beginning of this year, which is 2024, January 2024. For context of where I started 2016, it's kind of a return to basics, man. Basics. I'm not angry about it. I get myself for having lost time, because I'm very sensitive to the loss of time, because I'm old. I haven't talked about the age, but I didn't use a webcam in the beginning of YouTube Let's Plays when I started them. But I was doing vlogs and stuff like that, so it's not like I was hiding my image, right? But I'm not a youngling. I'm not a 17-year-old Minecraft player. I'm not a 20-year-old Minecraft, a person playing Minecraft talking about life and not taking things seriously. And these things are blowing up, and there's just people sharing their thoughts and having really real moments. And on new channels that they've just rebooted because they've given up the grind at 17 to 20 years old. Are you kidding? Folks, you have a lot of time ahead of you, and you're already ahead by just coming to the realization that you don't have to take things so seriously. You don't have to grind so hard. That's not what YouTube was for me. I wasn't trying to turn it into my day job, in part 2. I needed it to be an escape. So I find it interesting. I'm turning 47 this year. I'm old, and I've never said my age explicitly. I alluded to it in joking. I have context from shows in the 80s. I have context from things that happened in the early 90s, right? And so I have context over video games the way they were for 20 years before they became huge talking points in YouTube content, right? And so I have this history, but I never talked about why time really, really mattered to me. Yeah, I was 39, I think, when I started YouTube. I was maybe 38 when I was thinking about it, something like that, okay? So I'm 47 now. I'm turning 47, 46. Oh my God, what year is it? I'm literally confusing myself. I'm 46. I'm turning 47 this year. Is that what I said? Anyways, the point is I, me getting to 50 is a big deal. It's a big deal. And so I can't, I can't just burn away. I can't do a full-time job for 40 hours and then also do YouTube for 40 hours, which is what I was doing for 5 years. Like, I was grinding hard, and but it didn't feel like work because it was very fun. It was enjoyable, But at the same time, something's got to give here because there's all these other things I want to do, right? I produced this comic series over a couple of years that I started in 2009 and I finished in 2015. I kickstarted from 2016 or 17 to 2020, 21, right? So like there's been other projects I did on the side. YouTube was not like, this was already full-time effort here, but I was also putting in part-time effort on a production company for comic books and novels and Kickstarter production and distribution. And I was doing all of that stuff at the same time. And so there's plenty of time. Like, I'm a very good manager of time. That being said, how can I put this? I definitely didn't have the most stable of thoughts over the last while, which was clear on this channel for the people who follow. Those who are new here, you won't have the context, but just understand that it was a journey, because I'm a person who definitely goes through a lot of thinking when I'm trying to work out my own struggles. And I knew I was in a mental struggle, but I didn't know what that mental struggle was. And it's not just the channel. There's like stuff in life. There's stuff in life. And the channel was like 20% of just shit that's going on that's making me think about this life, time, and the meaning of it and what I want to accomplish in life with the time that I have left. And that sounded very foreboding, and I didn't mean it that way, but it's something I fear. I fear not being capable of fulfilling dreams that I set out to do. But I feel like the algorithm and my own mental catastrophe led me down always feeling like I was failing at everything I did, and the games I really loved just weren't captivating an audience, and I really loved them. And so it became like this personal connection with the game, because I wasn't just thinking as a producer, I was sharing an experience. And so when you share an experience with an audience, and again, that audience is separated from a more like casual relationship vibe that you get when you're a small channel, in part, I feel like I just need a reboot. It allows new people to discover the channel when it's still small and they feel like they can talk to the content creator like they're a person. Not to say that still doesn't happen in the comments, but like the more comments that happen, they can become overwhelming. And as the audience becomes more dispersed based on content variety, then that content doesn't become part of the conversation. And in the early version of XEI Gaming, I really, really admired and enjoyed the conversation while I played the game, and I just feel like over the years, something hasn't panned out, and I know that that's almost predominantly my fault. I can't I can't blame the algorithm. I know it's easy to do, and I've done it, but at the end of the day, I think what I've been saying at work recently has been, I don't have to like the decision, but I agree with it. It's a reversal, but it makes sense. When you work with data that long, you just kind of go, there's data. There's data that tells you why you have to go in a direction. I don't like it. But this is what the data is telling us we have to do. This is what the audience is asking for. And some of them are complaining, but it doesn't show. It doesn't show in the data that's telling us how we need to go forward. And so we do, and then we measure it, right? I think YouTube's algorithm, to not blame it for the failures, but I do blame it for existing. I blame it for existing in the sense that I do believe there's a massive core audience on YouTube that has just been orphaned. And I believe I'm one of those people as an audience member. I feel like a lot of them are still out there. They're just 8 years older, just like I am. And so many people who've discovered early, like 2012 to 2016 YouTube content that people remember and think fondly of, you have to keep in mind, you might have been in high school, you might have been in college, you might have been in university, you've now aged, you possibly have a family, you possibly have kids, you possibly have a day job that takes up 40 hours of your time, you maybe have a partner or a spouse, or maybe you've gotten God forbid, like like something has happened in your life and things have derailed it. Maybe you've traveled, maybe you moved countries, maybe you have different life circumstances that, like financial obligations that take up more of your time. So you can't have casual viewing sessions of 1 hour Let's Plays once a day. Like, so all of us have aged, is what I'm trying to say. And I don't know what target audience, like, again, to go back to my real day, right? Like lingo, right? What's my target audience, right? And then when I go there, I'm like, I know that's how I have to think when I'm creating content. But at the same time, I'm like, that's not how people were thinking in 2012. There's unlikely, right? Unlikely. A lot of the content creators that started in 2008, I mean, I know it was earlier than that. I was on YouTube in 2005. I think when they launched, it was like beta or something like that. But over the years, you know, the kind of content and the way it was produced, you know, when you talk about early Let's Plays like PewDiePie and then Markiplier and then Jacksepticeye and then Christopher Odd, like you can go down the list of 2012ers, right? In that era, 2012, 2015, 16, Spider-Cat was in there. There's so many Blitzkrieg, but I think he's changed his name. I found him yesterday. I was like, oh, it's like a whole different, like, it's like, anyways. So I watched a lot of RimWorld with him, and I think it's just he went to Blitz, and now he's like Blitz Nation or Blitz something. Anyways, the derailing, but the point is, they were just making content, and they happened to grow because they were casually sharing experiences, not because they were producing content. It's the overproduction of the content as content to garnish an audience. It works. There's a reason why it works, because people think like producers act like producers, and so they get rewarded like producers. But man, I don't think the casual player who wants to share experiences is not wired that way, you know. And so I don't know if that's where I want to be. And so I can just release whatever I want in the channel and just accept what happens. But you have to accept certain things that come with that mentality going in. And I'm not sure that I also agree with that. I love the music in this game, though. I remember how much I love the music. Oh, I can hear this forever, man. It's so good. It's so good. I've reached the end of this completely meandering. And it's not even an episode 0. I'm just going to call this whatever the hell I want to call it. It's just gonna be a whatever. I'm just talking about things. Man, isn't that okay? Is that okay? Do I have to ask for permission to the algorithm gods? So if I record a game like I just did here, like how successful would it be for me to just meander and talk half of the time and not play the game? Well, it's not a playthrough for people to watch playthroughs. That's not what the content will be for, right? But that becomes the weird, that's not the juxtaposition. That's not the correct word there. That becomes the irony. Irony is probably not the right word here either. That becomes the conundrum, like the conundrum of it all, right? You want to make just like an experience you share with people where you're just bantering, and the content is more about just talking, man. Just talking with people. And there's like games where the content isn't about playthroughs. It's just people like doing things in the game. And playthroughs, like long form playthroughs, Let's Plays, like I don't feel like they definitely don't get suggested. This is just that they don't get suggested. And so I just don't know what that means to the future of Let's Plays. Beyond like searching explicitly for playthroughs of content, I find it extremely difficult. And even the Let's Plays I tend to find for content, it's like, I know there's more people playing this game out there. Why do I keep finding the same 3 to 5 people in this search? Why is this happening? Like, there's got to be a dozen at least any given month. That, you know what I mean? Smaller channels that just need to get put into search. But that's the era we live in, you know what I mean? There's going to be 3 to 5 a month, maybe. That's my experience. I don't know what your experience is like. In any case, that's it. I'm going to wrap up for real this time. Don't forget to explore, engage, and inspire, everybody. Peace.